Hello everyone and welcome to the basic guide to winning Overwatch. Over the next couple minutes of this video we're just going to go through three things quite quickly, so I'll just summarize them to begin with so you know what you're getting yourself into. The first thing will be swapping your hero, second thing will be communicating to your allies, and the third will be map learning / flanking groups. So, thanks for tuning in to the basic guide to winning Overwatch. I hope you're able to learn something from my currently limited experience of playing the game, and I'll just mention this now. As I get more experience, I'll be doing more advanced guides, so I'll be starting with basic guides to each character and maybe some maps, and then once I've got a few more hours into the game, or dozens of hours into the game, I'll do more advanced guides. So starting off, we're going to look at the first point, which is hero swapping, or knowing when to swap your hero out for a different one. So when I try to capture footage, I try and get it for one hero. I don't really try to swap very often, just because I want to get footage for that hero to show how good they can be throughout the entire game. Most of the time this likes to kick me in the ass or just, hit me in the back of the head, because a lot of games require people to just keep constantly swapping out heroes. A lot of people are counter picking, even though counter's a pretty hard sort of term in this game. There are heroes that have advantages over heroes. People like to pick them in order to gain the advantage and win. So whilst I may play a whole game where I don't choose a different hero at all, I highly recommend for just normal casual players or people starting out, just play heroes that you genuinely, one, like, and two, think will complement your team, or at least in some way counter the enemy team, so you can break through their formation and either get a flank off and take the objective. This game in the background is a great example of this. I played D.Va for reasons that I'll get into later, and it isn't really working for the last half of the game. So we managed to take the first point, and the second point's very well defended, and it just was not working out for us. No matter how much I tried with D.Va, I could not push through or do anything to help my team. So I looked at the hero composition, saw who we were lacking or what hero would be best for the situation. And when you're looking at a choke point like this one in Volskaya Industries, I believe the map is, probably pronounced that completely wrong, you're looking for a tank with some fairly large health that can take a bit of a beating but is also able to cover for your allies. D.Va doesn't really fit into this category. She has a fairly large health pool or armor pool, which is what the yellow indicates on a health bar. But she can't really cover for a team that well. She has an ability which is able to absorb projectile weapons, apart from energy weapons, so basically bullets and arrows and other things like that. But that doesn't last very long. It's very narrow. It's a narrow cone that the ability works in, so you can't really cover for your team all that well. She's got great clear with her ultimate if it hits, because it has a huge charge up time, but it just wasn't really working out. So in this example, later on in the game, I changed to Reinhardt, and we are able to push the objective just pretty much straight away because my team were covered. The enemy weren't expecting just the last minute push with all of the team behind the shield. Next up, we'll go into a very basic strategy, which is communicating to your allies. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to talk or don't like push to talk or just to have VoIP on in any way, shape or form in their games. Heck, I'm like this most of the time, which is why Blizzard, in all their wisdom, have decided to include a hotkey and sort of text chat system, so you can either type into the text, to advise your teams, or abuse them if you're so inclined, to take an objective or group up, or anything else like that you want to. You can free text that in. If you hit the C key, by default I believe it's the C key, I'm not sure what it is on consoles, it'll open a little options menu that you'll be able to pick a few pre-selected voice lines from that you're able to instantly communicate to your team. So a popular one is thanks, or group up, or I need healing, things like that. You're also able to emote this way, which can be kind of funky, and if you want to taunt the enemy after a kill, go ahead and do that. But by far the best way of communicating is by voice. So if you have a couple friends, not everybody does, then just go ahead and get them on Skype, get them on Vent, if you still use that, get them on TeamSpeak, or the most recent one is Discord that everyone's using now, which I kind of like a lot. If you're able to communicate to your team in a fluent and fun manner, it benefits you. You're able to stay in a good mindset as well. You're not going to be constantly complaining because you're on your own and you're just getting frustrated. So communication, whilst it's great for communicating strategy to your team, it's also great for just peace of mind. You know, you've got people there fighting with you. You can all work off each other relatively easily. The final bit of advice I'm going to give everyone in the basic guide is knowing your maps. Now, this is probably one of the most difficult parts of the basic guide that I'm going over, but as you play the game, you learn the maps, and sometimes you learn some not so obvious flanking routes. The reason why I chose this game in particular in the background is that it showcases all three examples of what I'm mentioning in the basic guide. So I was on I was on Discord to at least 2 other people, I believe, at the time, and I had to swap out my hero in order to push the objective in the final stages of the game. And finally, there was a flanking route, which was very, very effective. What happened was me and a friend, who was Reaper, managed to teleport or just zoom down the left flank. If you could see right at the beginning, I was able to fly literally right the way outside of the map, but around the side of the buildings where beneath me there was no floor, so normal characters or heroes would have died if they tried to jump that. We took the left flank. The enemy was not expecting this at all because they probably weren't aware that the flank exists. So whilst they were more focused on holding the choke point, which is further up a lot with a couple buildings and, you know, a little truck thing, they didn't notice us just sneak around the back, sit on the point, and then they're just thinking, oh crap, what happened? How did they sneak past us? There was nobody that came through the door that we were guarding. How did they get to the point? It's because we used a flanking route. And with that, we were able to just frustrate them. They backed off. Our teammates were also able to push through because they were divided. They didn't know who to focus on. Would they focus on us, who's on the objective, and how many of them would focus on us? You know, it really flustered them because they didn't have the communication to say, okay, 2 of us will go the objective, the other 3 will hold the choke. You know, it's just one of those situations where the flank just made the game. And because we were able to do it effectively, we just basically took it in the first game in the first try. So that's just how you win in a very basic fashion. There's just 3 things you need to know. And what's the third thing? Yes, it involves learning a lot of maps. Another one, for example, is the Temple of Anubis, where you can just sneak down the left instead of going straight ahead into that, what I call, like, it's a little pathway of death in the last objective when you're assaulting. So take the left flank instead. It takes you right the way around. If you need more examples, I'll go through them when I go through my map guides at some point in the future, but I really hope you learned something from this video, and if you'd like to see more, please hit that subscribe button. I always appreciate feedback and extra followers, so thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.